Hello everyone, this is Tengu, and welcome back to another Dark Souls 3 boss drawing. With our defeat of Pontiff Sullivan in the last episode, the way to the next Lord of Cinder has been opened. The path onward takes us up to the highest point of Irithyll, to a very familiar location. Past the Dark Moon tomb, we take the spiraling elevator up to the cold and corrupted remains of the once glorious city of Anor Londo, land of the gods. It is here that Aldrich the Devourer has taken up residence, and the cathedral has been swallowed by his filth. After cutting our way through slimes and acolytes, we come face to face with Aldrich, who has taken on a new form as the Devourer of Gods. Consuming the Dark Moon Gwyndolin not only granted Aldrich with his power, but also his form. His upper body now resembles the frail, silver-haired form of the son of Lord Gwyn, but he is unable to hide the monstrosity that he has become. The power of the moon was strong in Gwyndolin, and Aldrich has become a very powerful sorcerer because of it. Aldrich was a very fun boss to draw, and I had a lot of options in terms of how to depict him. He has some flashy spells, and looks really cool when firing off his arrows. In the end, I decided I really wanted my drawing to focus on how he transitions from Gwyndolин's body to monstrosity. I love how this boss can look both graceful and slug-like at the same time. He wears Gwyndolin like a mask, and despite having replicated so much of him, Aldrich is unable to fully conceal the grotesquerie that he has become. It's a great design that speaks volume about the character. Let's delve a little deeper into how he got this way. Aldrich was once a holy cleric, but his insatiable appetite for human flesh twisted and transformed him. His consumptions made him stronger, but turned him into an abomination. It was by his strength, however, that he became a Lord of Cinder. When Aldrich ruminated on the fading of the fire, it inspired visions of a coming age of the deep sea. He knew the path would be arduous, but he had no fear. He would devour the gods himself. He was placed in the Cathedral of the Deep, and his very presence tainted the church. Perhaps it was his vision of the deep, but the deacons turned from warding away the dark to embracing it in the name of Aldrich. The deep was originally a peaceful and sacred place, but became the final rest for many abhorrent things. The cathedral fell into darkness, and once holy members lived only to feed Aldrich's endless hunger. Undead were rounded up and brought to the cathedral to be consumed by the Devourer. But these sacrifices could never sustain Aldrich, so he left to return to his home of Irithyll in an attempt to consume something greater, the last gods of the old royalty. With Pontiff Sullivan already brought to power, he used Aldrich as a tool to help dispose of the remaining threat to his rule, Gwyndolin. It seems likely that Gwyndolin was not the only resident that Aldrich devoured either. Aldrich dreamt as he slowly devoured the god of the Dark Moon, and in his dream he perceived the form of a young, pale girl in hiding. This is likely a reference to either Yorshka or Priscilla, but since Aldrich is in possession of Priscilla's life hunt ability, it seems likely that she was consumed as well. There is some hope for vengeance, though, as Gwyndolин's younger sister Yorshka still remains. Despite being imprisoned by Pontiff Sullivan with the intentions of being fed to Aldrich, she has taken up her brother's mantle as leader of the Dark Moon Covenant. I thought it would be fun to go with the brass set for our armor that many of you suggested, to represent this mission of vengeance. The brass set is an armor set from Dark Souls 1 that belonged to the Firekeeper in Anor Londo, who also served as a blade of the Dark Moon under Gwyndolin. The armor set is found in the Dark Moon tomb and seemed fitting for the fight. This also happens to be the same armor set I drew for the fight against Gwyndolin in my Dark Souls 1 series, so we got to play the Aggressor and now Avenger with it. I decided on the Draying Twin Spears as our weapons. They can also be found on our way up to Anor Londo from Irithyll by defeating the blades of the Dark Moon who guard the path. They are a very fun weapon to use, and can be a pain to fight against with their long-reaching thrusts and successive attacks. I thought an aggressive weapon like this would be useful for putting the hurt on Aldrich when an opportunity arises. To defeat Aldrich, you are going to have to learn how to dodge his attacks. He has some pretty powerful spells, but they can easily be trivialized once you learn the timing. Dodge left or right when he's about to cast his soul spear, and use the pillars or dodge to avoid the floating orbs he summons. For his arrow attacks, run around him in Phase 1 as the arrow shower cones out, and stay on the move in Phase 2, as the arrows will follow you for an extended length of time. Beyond that, just stay aggressive and be ready to run to the opposite end of the room every time he teleports to keep up with him. With a little patience, you should have Aldrich down in no time. As the drawing is finishing up, I want to share a drawing tip that has really helped me cut down on my time while drawing all these bosses. I have a tendency to spend way too much time blending and slowly building up my drawings, but by quickly establishing your brightest highlights and darkest shadows, your drawing will take shape much faster and gives you a strong value to start blending from. Try turning off pressure sensitivity on your brush if you're using a tablet and knock out some nice contrast. This also helps to prevent your drawing from looking overly soft. It's something I'm constantly working on myself, and hopefully it will help you in your drawings as well. With Aldrich out of the way, we have now defeated 2 of the 4 Lords of Cinder. To reach the next one, we will have to travel back through Irithyll and into the Irithyll dungeon in search of the profaned capital. If there are any armor sets or weapons you would like to see used in the next drawing from either of those areas, let me know in the comments below. Leave a like to help support this series, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.